welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbein, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. Today, we're gearing up for the Philadelphia Eagles Week 8. It's a tough matchup in Philly, a city that is absolutely burning hot right now in the sports world. Ooh, excuse me. But the Steelers still have hope. They're coming off of a tight loss in Miami. A lot to break down, especially offensively. We're going to get into Calvin Austin and his likely not return, Chase Claypool's words on the offense, and a little bit of Matt Canada and what we could expect from him moving forward. But it's a gloomy day here in the Burgh. It's kind of feels like fall, kind of feels like we're approaching that. It's about to be dark and just tiring for the next 6 months, but I kind of like that. Won't lie to you. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. Yeah, you know me. I don't mind the cold, but this rain I could do without. And also the getting dark at 7 o'clock or 6:30. Don't care for that either. Don't care for that one bit.
I was driving, so I had to make impromptu trip back to my parents' house, who live in Scranton, Pennsylvania, yesterday, and we were driving back. We left at 7:45 at night, and it wasn't even like kind of dark, like it was pitch black when we left, and then it just continued to get darker. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's one thing to get dark at 8 o'clock or get dark at 7 o'clock, and you're like, all right, well, it's starting to get dark. It was 6:15, and you were just like, there's absolutely no sun outside, and it feels like it's midnight. Those are the worst drives. I will not lie to you, but it's only going to get worse until when does sun start coming back up? Like June?
Yeah.
So we got 8 months. 8 months. That's not bad.
It's only not too long.
No, it's only more than half the year, but we're almost there. We're almost there. To make things worse, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-5. They're one of, I believe, 4 teams that are 2-5 right now. They currently hold the 7th pick in the NFL draft. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. Things are starting to happen. As of today, by the end of today, Calvin Austin will officially be shut down for the rest of the season. Mike Tomlin made it pretty clear that he's not coming back. You could look at that as he's not healthy. You could look at that as he's just not ready. He's a 4th-round rookie. He's not prepared enough. He's missed a lot of football. Either way, big news. Pittsburgh Steelers fans are pretty upset about that. Honestly, I think it's not I wouldn't say it's the right move, but it's an understandable move, and I think one that a lot of us saw coming.
Yeah, I was at Mike Tomlin's press conference yesterday, and the sense I got from him, and he chooses his words very carefully, but the sense I got from him was not that Calvin Austin isn't healthy. It was more the preparation part. This guy hasn't played an NFL football game ever. Like we're in week 8 of his week 9. We're in week 9.
Yeah, of his return. We're in week 8 of the
week
season.
8 of the regular season. So there have been this Pittsburgh Steelers have played 11 football games, and during Calvin Austin's rookie year, he hasn't played in any of them. Yeah, he's barely even just got back to practice a few weeks ago. Like this is a process. Coming back from an injury is one thing, but then having to pick up the playbook almost from scratch is completely another. And to jump on a moving train like this at this point in the season, that's asking a lot of anyone, particularly a rookie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Tomlin's words are this guy hadn't played in the stadium yet anyways. He hasn't played in a preseason stadium, so it's more about his development with him. That's the perspective I have. I'm just being realistic. I agree with that. It'd be one thing if he was a 1st-round pick and Mike Tomlin was holding back their top rookie when this team is trying desperately to find some light on offense and the quarterback situation, especially if it was Kenny Pickett, like if Mitch Trubisky was playing poorly and Mason Rudolph didn't have many believers in him. But it's Calvin Austin in a wide receiver room that is already pretty filled. You got Deontay, you got Chase Claypool, you got George Pickens. You're not really looking to add a 5th guy out there. Steven Sims is your punt returner. Gunnar Olszewski is fine to fill in. You're not going to get rid of Miles Boykin. He's probably your best special teamer. It just feels like there was no place for Calvin Austin, and it stinks because you wanted to see what the 4th-round rookie could bring to this offense. But at the same time, those expectations couldn't have been too high. Nobody should have been looking at this guy like he's going to be the savior of Kenny Pickett, or, his injection of speed is going to be absolutely insane to the point where it turns this entire team around. Like, he might catch a pass or two a game max. There might be games where he's inactive. He might take on a little bit of punt and kick return ability, but Steven Sims looks like he did a fine job in his game when he did that. So it's a guy that, yeah, it stinks what happened to him, but at the same time, like, how high was that ceiling for a rookie who's a 4th-round pick and hasn't played in an NFL game yet? I would say it's like incredibly low, incredibly low. So you can't be too beat up on it. Do you think that this has any impact in his position with the team moving forward? I've seen a lot of people compare it to Anthony McFarland of last year, where, he was set to be like that number 2. He looked really good, and then he got hurt right before the season started, and then he was barely active the rest of the year. A lot of people are trying to compare it to him.
I don't think so. I think you haven't seen him play football before. I don't think you can say that at this point.
Mhm.
I think you have to actually see him on a field before you can qualify it that way. Like, obviously his kind of timeline has been set back, but it feels way, way, way too early to me to completely count out this guy who's like barely even stepped on a field, like a practice field.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I don't think you need to rush this at all and like speed up his timeline just because you're a little desperate for something new on offense, or for some kind of kickstart on offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this has nothing, like, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers offense as a whole. It's just so bad right now that next year you're pretty much starting over as it is. Everybody's going to be brand new to most likely a scheme, new guys on a number of positions. I would imagine that the NFL draft loads up on the offense. It's just going to be so much new that you can't really look at a guy like Calvin Austin and say, oh man, well, we didn't get him involved this year, so it means that he's not going to be ready next year. Like, nobody's going to be ready for what happens next year because it's going to be so much different than what it
Mhm.
is right now. So I just look
Yeah.
at him, and yeah, it's a tough loss, especially for the Steelers and an offense that desperately needs some type of spark. But I truly just don't think that Austin was going to be a guy that came in here and provided a spark big enough to really like change anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers future.
Yeah, and to justify throughout, like, again, he's
Yeah.
again, I don't think it was Tomlin, like, kinda gave the impression that it wasn't his health that's the issue. Like,
Yep.
that's what gives me faith that it's not going to be an Anthony McFarland situation, that it's like, he will get a chance to start over with a clean slate next year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to learn the offense. You got to get an opportunity to play in the preseason, improve yourself. And if he could do that, which I have full faith that he will, then I think a lot of things change in 2023. But right now, that's the end of Calvin Austin's season. It's a tough one, but it's one that the Steelers, I think, had in the back of their minds this entire time as he approached his return, just because he really would have had to come out here and show, like, yeah, I'm so ready to play football again and be a contributor. And chances of that happening were just very, very slim. All right, let's talk about Chase Claypool and his words on the offense, Matt Canada's future, and what we could expect from him. But first, we got a word from our boys over at True Classic. Football is back, baby. And our new sponsor, True Classic, wants you to look and feel your best, even after a couple of brewskis or going full force on your fantasy football weekend. Sure, it's football season, but it's also butt to couch season. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best fitting clothes a man can buy. Snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space in the torso, their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So, if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, the least you can do is look good doing it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men find their perfect fit at an affordable price. Our listeners today get access to the best deal they offer for a limited time only. Get 25% off with our code ALLSteelers at trueclassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few extra beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. I got the hat. I'm rocking the new shirt today. It's my new favorite gym outfit by a mile. Not only are you finally getting a t-shirt designed for the male body, but the first thing you'll notice is how soft it is. The colors are prime too, and you can even match your team of choice. True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. They are your one-stop shop for men's essentials. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit to boxer briefs designed with the pouch to keep your bulge nice and comfortable, all of their gear is top-notch quality at reasonable prices. They also have this dope pack builder on their website where you can custom bundle all of their essential products and save even more than the discount we're offering you today. And for any of the defensive sized players out there, they have long body options for the tall guys and up to 3XL on their staple colors. Whether you have abs or flabs, their clothes look great on all body types. Let's stop beer belly shaming with better clothes. Men, let's be team players here. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and help your friends out by telling them about these tees as well. From Tall Steve's, Active Paul's, Average Greg's, True Classic has your back. It's about time you get your fit together. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with our code ALLSteelers. Free shipping is included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at trueclassic.com with our code ALLSteelers. If there's one bet you should make this football season, it's True Classic. True Classic. Look good, feel good. I will say that I got some new True Classic. I needed some new gym shirts, so I ordered some. And I haven't taken them off in 3 days. So they're not bad. They're not bad.
That's a good review.
That's a good, right? Like I'm a huge fan. I did get another trucker hat though, because I'm a big hat in the gym kind of guy. And also very, very nice. Although I wore it in the sauna, trucker hats do not have the same effect as normal like Nike golf hats in the sauna. Okay. Whereas the back where the little clip thing is, it becomes 1,010 degrees and you're just sitting in there just like, oh my God, I think plastic is melting to my head. Yeah, it gets a little aggressive. But besides that, 10 out of 10 have no regrets. No regrets. Huge. People come up to me all the time, actually. It's kind of crazy. They're like, yo, dude, you got those some True Classics? I'm like, how do you know this? What are you doing? Crazy. All right. Chase Claypool had some words on the Steelers offense. I think that it was something to be addressed after the Steelers lost to Miami. I don't think anything super major, but two choice words, two choice comments on the offense. The first one was about deep balls. We need more go balls. Like, damn, not enough go balls. We've got the playmakers. I haven't had a go ball all year. George Pickens needs more. Deontay Johnson needs more. I'm not saying that's all on the play calling. I'm just saying we need to find a way to scheme it up. So that I took as I'm not calling out Matt Canada, but who else are you possibly calling out there? And then the second one is it's a little hard to score. Oh, there's three actually. It's a little hard to score when it's like a 10, 15 play drive because everything has to go right. If you're nickel and diming, you get 5 yards per play, which is fine for the time of possession, but it's also something we want to go score now. Then he followed that up by saying, I feel like I've heard every week, are you close? How close are we? I think it's too late in the season to be close to anything. I think if we're close, we've got to get there next week. I took all of that as I'm not calling out the offense. I'm not naming anybody in particular, but we stink as a group and we're hitting desperation time. What did you take of Chase Claypool's comments there?
Yeah, we can tackle that first one. You don't even need to. That doesn't even require any interpretation. Like I'm not blaming the play calling, but we need to scheme up more deep balls. Like that's blaming the play calling. Like it's we need to scheme them up. That is play calling. So at a to a certain level, I appreciate Chase Claypool because he's the most honest person in the Steelers locker room. Like he will say whatever is on his mind, especially when it comes to the offense. He will not mince words. But at this point, you don't really need to kind of mince your words like that. Like, you don't really need to keep adding this caveat about like, oh, we actually all still love each other. Like, we're all very happy with how things are going. Like, we know you're not happy with it. Like, that's fine. We all know, like, whoever you think is at fault, we all kind of know what the deal is. We all kind of know that a bunch of people are unhappy with this. So yeah, he definitely was blaming the play calling there.
Do
That
you
I
do
think
you
that
think
much
that
is clear.
that do you think that they're all upset at Matt Canada? Do you think that they all are? I would say as upset as the fan base is at Matt Canada.
No, because I don't think anyone can be more upset at Matt Canada than the Steelers fan bases.
Do you
But
think it's
I do
close?
think maybe. It's just weird because it's gotten more I feel like it's gotten more the kind of direct criticism coming from the locker room has been more muted over the past couple of weeks. Like, kinda ever since
Agreed.
Kenny got in, quite honestly,
Hmm.
than it was during those first few weeks. Um, Kinda don't know what that really says. Maybe they're all just kinda tired of saying the same things over and over again, but
I think it's also you don't want to put down the rookie. You know what I mean? Like it was fine
Mhm,
to say the offense has all these issues because you kind of knew that Mitch could take that, but at the same time,
mhm,
like Kenny's going to probably take some of that personally, and
mhm,
you don't really want that to be a thing. But you have to, even if it's somewhat muted, like isn't at the same time, like isn't that some of the media? Like I know that I'm not asking as many like the offense stinks questions. How do you fix it? Because there's a part of me that understands that if Kenny Pickett throws 7 interceptions in 12 quarters, that's just part of the game. That's going to happen. He's a rookie and he's thrown into a really bad situation. So it's kind of just like assumed without brought up that it's still
mhm.
Matt Canada and he still stinks. But do you think that they're looking at it the same way? Just like, it is what it is. We'll learn about a rookie or we'll learn with a
Um,
rookie.
I think they're looking at it more like these questions have been asked and answered, and the results aren't getting any better, so why would they
Yep.
feel any different? Um,
True.
and I guess that's just why people aren't asking as much kinda, like, general questions about the offense stinks, like, how does that make you feel? That kinda thing, like, what can you do to improve it? I think people have been able to get more into the weeds about, like, okay, and this kinda leads us into Chase's next kinda comment about, like, deep balls and kind of the long drives that they have to go on to score. Um, but people are able to get more into the weeds about, like, okay, we know the offense stinks, we need to, like, come to terms with that first. Where does it stink now? Is it the quarterback? Is it the play calling? Is it the lack of deep balls and big plays and things like that? Is it the offensive line, running backs, whoever the hell? But yeah, that leads into Chase's next comment about like deep balls and these long drives because I think he's right. Like there were a bunch of kind of drive killing penalties in the Miami game,
Yes.
and I noticed them particularly in the Miami game with Buffalo.
Yeah. Buffalo
Tampa
didn't
Bay they
count.
won. Right. You kind of wiped that one clean, but
Yeah, but you could highlight that as the 3rd and 1 in on the 16-yard line that ended up being a 3rd and 16 leading to an interception because Kenny's got to force a ball into a tight window to Deontay Johnson where I'm looking up that now. Like I don't know what that play was. That drive was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, if you count the penalties, 15 plays. If you don't count the penalties, 13 plays. Like 13 play drive to go 20, uh, you know, pretty much 60 yards, 70 yards. Like
yeah, you're just giving
that's
yourself too
not
many chances to screw up and to put yourself behind the chains and put yourself in a
agreed.
bad situation. Um,
Agreed. Agreed. You can't. Like you have to at some point take a shot down the field. And there have been times like the first drive in Miami that was on Pickett. He sailed that ball way over
oh yeah,
Deontay Johnson when he was wide open. There have been some designs that I've seen looking back at the film where you're like, oh, George Pickens is wide open on the right side of the field going deep. But Kenny's progression starts at the left and works its way to the right. And, that's going to get better with time. But at the same time, like if you're a rookie quarterback, you're 12 quarters into football and your offensive coordinator says, look this way, and then look this way last. And the guy open is this way. You're not going to make it to him in time. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to get the ball out of there as quickly as possible. So again, I put that blame on Matt Canada every time.
Right. And that seems like that like order of progression seems completely backwards. Like you look at the deep ball first because that's the one that usually develops first. That's the one pretty quickly. Okay, this is there. It's not. It's the underneath routes and the shorter routes that you can give more time to develop and stuff like that. And that will be there they will be there if the deep ball is not there. It's not like the deep ball materializes, at the very end of your progression. That like doesn't happen.
Exactly. That is the worst part about Matt Canada's offense is the fact that his progression scheme is designed to look at the guy that's going to take the longest amount of time to get open. Well, okay, so I take that back. So the first read most of the time is Chase Claypool running 3 yards right to the middle of the field like a slant comeback type situation. That's always the first read because Matt Canada knows you can't turn the ball over if you just throw it 3 yards. That's just not going to happen. But the rest of the reads are a Deontay Johnson comeback, which, like, I get it. If he runs it fast enough, he will be open quickly. But you're telling me that you don't trust your quarterback to look at the go route first and then scan the rest of the field and then hit Deontay Johnson by the time he's cutting back 12 yards down the field? Like, how long is it taking this quarterback to run through his progressions? If you see George Pickens not get open on the right side of the field, like if you do it the other way, the way that they do it now, you're waiting for Deontay Johnson to make the cut. Deontay Johnson isn't open. He didn't make the cut. Okay, Chase Claypool is already swallowed up because his route was 3 yards. Can't do anything there. Pat Fryermuth's in the middle of the field. He was open 4 seconds ago. He's not open now because he's already way down there. And George Pickens is 40 yards down the field, so you can't hit him now because you're not throwing the football 80 yards to hit him in stride. If it goes the other way, just like you said, if George is open, you hit him in stride. By the time you get to Deontay Johnson, he's coming back and you could hit him there. It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, they're making it hard on themselves for no reason.
For no reason. That's a classic Matt Canada. Classic Matt Canada. And then you look at his final comment there, Chase's final comment about how, if it's going to hit, it's going to hit this week. I took that as they've already admitted defeat, that this team already understands that their ceiling is as high as it's going to get right now, that the season is pretty much over for them. And in my opinion, that they have zero faith in the plan that they have in front of them, which stinks, but I think everybody else around them has already done that weeks ago, and now they're finally clicking with that too.
I don't know if I took I see that. I don't know if I took it as defeatist a way as you did, because I kind of took it as a sense of urgency from Chase. He wasn't saying. I didn't think he was saying, "Oh, we're done." I thought he was saying, "Look, the preseason is over. Like, the time for experimenting and figuring things out, or kind of getting the hang of things, for lack of a better term, should have happened already." Like that.
Yeah.
If we were as good as we were kind of telling ourselves we were, or if we were, if we kind of lived up to our own talk about how we were going to figure this out, it would have happened already, and we haven't. The results are the same week after week after week. And we keep talking about how we just got to keep working a little bit harder and keep working every week to get there. Like at a certain point, the results have to show up, and we're too deep into the season for them to have not to. So I guess that's defeatist in some sense. But
no, I get what you're saying though. I do get what you're saying, and I could see that as well. I could definitely see that. That could be how he meant that. I don't think anybody in the locker room's like, yo, screw this team, it's over, whatever. I think everybody knows how much talent's here. they just also understand that it has just been a disaster watching and playing, and it's been rough. So let me ask this. Tomlin said yesterday there's going to be no changes to the offense. I don't think there needs to be any changes outside of the offensive coordinator. I don't know how well there's now arguments out there of like, if you change an offensive coordinator in the middle of the field, it's only going to hit Kenny Pickett. And then there's arguments of like, I saw Didi Kinkobalo, who Steelers fans are not going to be happy that I mentioned that name, but say that Baltimore did it the year that they won the Super Bowl, but Joe Flacco was a fourth-year guy, like it's a totally different situation. But it's probably not going to happen, okay? But does it make the Steelers better if they just canned Matt Canada at the bye week and said, we're going to finish this out with Mike Sullivan and possibly stop hurting the progression of our rookie quarterback?
Well, it certainly couldn't get much worse, right? Like, this is one of the worst offenses in the NFL. You can't
It is the worst offense in the NFL.
That's the thing.
Statistically,
Like
pretty much all around.
the room between them and I guess you could call it rock bottom, like, isn't very far. So I don't think you could hurt you in an irreversible way or hurt you even more than you're being hurt right now. So that's why I don't, if I was in a leadership position with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I was going to not fire Matt Canada, that wouldn't be my reasoning, Like, I think Kenny would be able to survive it. I don't, you know what I mean? That doesn't seem like any reason to. You're afraid of getting worse. Like,
I'm almost I think that's what some people feel, and I'm almost at a point where I watch this team and it I think if we're being honest, like the longer Matt Canada sticks around might be the worst thing for Kenny Pickett. Like people are like, oh well, you're gonna give him 4 offensive coordinators or 3 offensive coordinators in 2 seasons. Is that worse than teaching a guy that your progressions are backwards, absolutely destroying his confidence because your offensive scheme is just so bad, and not allowing him to like really do anything? Like you're holding your quarterback back so much to the point where all these mistakes are just piling up, and mistakes would be fine if there was success with them. If he was throwing 7 interceptions, but these games were finishing 24-21 instead of 16-10, it would be a totally different situation. At that point, you're saying, look, man, we were that close. Now you're just saying we were that close because our defense was that good, not because our offense was good at all. Our offense couldn't do anything whatsoever, but our defense gave us a shot. If you at least find some light, some spark, could get something going, Kenny could throw all the interceptions in the world. That'd be totally fine because he's learning that there is potential here. We could get things going. I could get things going. I just got to eliminate the mistakes. Right now, what he's learning is I can't throw 7 interceptions. And at the same time, I have to somehow come up with like 14 more points a game minimum.
Yeah.
So I think it's hurting him, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's the difference between banging your head against the wall, doing the same thing versus just trying something new. Just do something different.
Trying anything new.
Like, we know what this is. We know what this situation looks like. We know what the results are going to be. Like, they feel almost predetermined before. From a purely points perspective, like they could win a few games, like scoring whatever 20 points a game, 18 points a game, however many they're scoring right now. But like we know it's going to be 18, 20 points a game, like 20 at the max, like 20 at our most optimistic like estimation. So it's like why I don't know. Like when you know the results are going to be the same and the results aren't good, why do you continue to just do the same thing?
Because that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I agree. I think it's just doing more harm than good right now. I think the Steelers' best opportunity is to just fire Matt Canada at the bye week and say it's over. Let's test it out with Mike Sullivan. If you walk into the bye week 2-6 and you're looking at the season going, yeah, all right, well, we're going to just keep trying and things could click eventually. What is wrong with you? Because you're not thinking logically. You're blinded by something. Somebody's got some dirt on you somewhere. The conspiracy theories are going to be wild and long and screamed from the rooftops if nothing changes and Mike Tomlin walks in here in 2 weeks, I guess, because he won't have a press conference next week, in 2 weeks, and says, well, you know what, guys? Things are going to click eventually. We just got to keep working, and things are going to be fine. They're not. They're not.
Trust me.
Yeah. I don't see any. That was the most ridiculous comment yesterday, is when he said, "I don't see. I'm not there yet. I'm open to making changes."
He did. So I got hung up on that yesterday when I'm like transcribing or like, listening back through his press conference. Is like, he didn't say I'm not there yet. He said I'm not there. Like, it didn't even, like, the idea that there is even a point where this could get bad enough where he, like, it doesn't seem to cross his mind. Like, get to a bad enough point that he is willing to make changes.
It's so ridiculous. And at the same time, like, I don't think it's all him. I think it's Art Rooney as well. I think it's Omar Khan to some degree. I think Art Rooney's got a big hand in this. But my gosh, like, at all three levels, if you're Art Rooney and you're making Tomlin sit through this as your scapegoat for this long, that's ridiculous. If you're Omar Khan and you're just like, yeah, well, I don't want to fire somebody in my first year, get over it. And if you're Mike Tomlin and you're this blind to the situation, well, every criticism that comes your way is deserved heavily, and maybe your job should be a little bit on the hot seat, because if you can't see how bad this is, you are ignoring some serious issues within your football team. Easy. But I don't expect anything to happen, if we're being honest. As of right now, I think Philadelphia is going to be an absolute mess. I'm just excited to get out there and eat some Philly cheesesteaks and,
here we go.
Watch some poor football, I guess. That's the game plan. See how well the defense could do against Jalen Hurts, because if the defense can play well against that offense, I feel a lot better about where the defense is headed. Unfortunately, it's headed there with nothing supporting it, because you're still going to finish with 5 wins on the season. It is what it is. All right, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Find us anywhere you get your podcast, and check out all our work at allsteelers.com. I'll be back tomorrow with a live stream on YouTube. Friday, I will be here with Derek. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.